वल्लभां गिरिवरदां यशोदानन्दन भज जनरञ्जना यशोदा नन्दन भज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन भज जनरञ्जना जन्मतीरा वनचारि मुनातीरा वनचारि जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा वरदानी यशोदानन्दन भज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन भज जनरञ्जना मुनातीरा वनचारि मुनातीरा वनचारि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय राधा गिरिधरी राधा गिरिधर राधे जय राधा गिरिधरी राधा गिरिधरी राधा जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्या गौरा हरि बोल जय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्या गौरा हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव श्री श्री राधा गोविंद की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी की जय श्री बलदेव सुभद्रा जगन्नाथ भगवान की जय श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय ओके
So Hare Krishna, shall I start now, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
A boy managed to purchase just enough for his own family to survive, but he saw the beggar population increase by hundreds. Month after month, he saw the footpaths and the open spaces congested with beggars, cooking their food on improvised stoves and sleeping in the open and beneath the trees. He saw the starving children rummaging in the dustbins for a morsel of food. From there, it was but a step to fighting with the dogs for a share of the garbage. And this also became a familiar sight. In the Calcutta streets, the British had little time to spare from their war efforts, and they worked only to save those lives essential for the fight. For the common people, the empire's prescription was uniform and simple: starvation. Srila Prabhupada, one American gentleman, was present at the time. He remarked, "People are starving in this way. In our country, there would have been revolution." Yes, but the people of India are so trained that in spite of artificial famine, they did not commit theft and steal others' property. People were dying. Still, they thought, all right, God has given. That was the basic principles of Vedic civilization. Ovoy knew that under the law of nature, there was so scarcity. By the God's arrangement, the earth could produce enough food. The trouble was man's greed. There is no scarcity in the world. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had said, the only scarcity is of Krishna consciousness. Only was Krishna consciousness. And the trouble is that there is no scarcity in the world. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said the only scarcity is Krishna consciousness. And this was how a boy saw 1943 famine. Now more than ever, the spiritual vision was relevant. Krishna consciousness was the prime necessity. How else could man be checked from his evil propensities to become greedy and hoard? Greedy, hoard, make war, and thus create misery for millions. He had seen the heinous activities of British in India. They are cutting off the thumbs of the weavers so that the Indian-made cotton goods could not compete with the foreign-made clothes. They are shooting down unarmed and innocent citizens. They are creating artificial famine. They are propagating myth that Indian civilization was primitive. Still, he did not believe that an independent Indian government would necessarily be an improvement unless the leadership was Krishna conscious, and neither Gandhi nor Subhash Chandra Bose, then the government would be able to provide real solution. Only stopgap measures without obedience to the laws of God, and as expressed by the scriptures and sages, governments would only increase human suffering. The Calcutta was bombed day after day. The bombing was concentrated in specific areas, but at the Kittapur port facility and Shambhajar in the North Calcutta, very near Avoy's home at Shitakanto Banerjee Lane, American planes had been leaving from airfields near Calcutta for targets in China and Japan, so the air raids of Calcutta seemed an inevitable retaliation. It was Japanese striking back. Or was the forces of Subhash Chandra Bose, since the bombs fell mostly in European quarter, but for the people of Calcutta, it made little difference who was attacking. After the first bombing, people evacuated the city, blackouts were imposed, and at night, the entire city dark. Srila Prabhupada, the whole Calcutta became vacant. Perhaps only myself and few others remained. I sent my sons to Navadvip. Of course, my daughter was married. My wife refused to go out of Calcutta. She said, I shall be bombed, but I'll not go. So I had to remain in Calcutta. I have seen bombing in Calcutta at night. I was just eating when there was siren. So the arrangement was that in your house would be the shelter room, I was hungry, so I first finished eating. Then I went to the room and the bombing began. She came. I was thinking that this was also Krishna in another form, but that form was not very lovable. So I'm stopping here, Prabhuji.
Up to you where you want to stop. Okay.
Oh.
If you cancel your sharing, then I can share mine.
Okay, I've stopped it now.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nobody. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today's reading is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth Veda, in chapter 20, Lord when appears in the earth. And today's text is text number 3. Svidhya sadho loke. If people could repeat, please. Hello, participants.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke.
Sudhya sadho loke.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke.
Naradevo narottama.
Naradevo narottama.
Naradeva narottama.
Narottama.
Nabhidurdayanti bhutavhayo.
Nabhiduryanti bhutebhyo.
Nabhiduryanti bhutebhayo.
Nabhiduryanti bhutebhyo.
Yahiram natma kalevaram.
Yahinatma kalevaram.
Yarhinatma kalevaram.
Yahinatma kalevaram.
Sudhiya sadho loke naradeva narottama.
Sudhiya
sadhavo loke naradeva narottama.
Nadir budhyanti bhute bhayo yahinatma kalevaram.
Nabhiduryanti bhutebhyo. Yahinatma kalevaram.
Sudhiya sadho loke naradevo narottamaha.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke naradeva narottama.
Navir duyanti bhute bhayo yarhinatma kalevaram.
Nabhiduryanti bhutebhyo. Yahinatma kalevaram.
Sudhiya sadho loke naradevo narottamaha. Nabhiduryanti bhutabhayo yarhinatma kalevaram.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke naradeva narottama. Nabhiduryanti bhutebhyo. Yahinatma kalevaram.
We'll repeat one at a time, please.
Hare Krishna. Dandavata Pranam Prabhu. Sudhiya sadhava loke naradeva narottama. Navindriyanti bhutebhyo yarhinatma kalevaram.
Thank you. Somebody else.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke narodeva narottama. Navidyanti bhutebhyo yarhinatma kalevaram.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sudhiya sadhavo loke narodevo narottamaha nabhidrihanti bhutebhyo yarhinatma kalevaram. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Pranam. Sudhiya sadhavo loke narodevo narottamaha नाभिदुह्यन्ति भूतेभ्यो जहिनात्मा कलेवरम. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Yeah. Hello, anybody else? Sudhirya, the most intelligent persons, sadhava, who are inclined to perform welfare activities, loke in this world, Naradev, O King, Narottama, the best of human beings, na abhirdhudayanti, never become malicious, bhutavaya, toward other living beings, yarhi, because na neva atma, the self or soul, kalevaram, this body. Translation in purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O King, who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others, is considered best among human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advance in intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. Purport. In daily life, we find that when a madman commits murder, he is excused even by a high court judge. The idea is that a living entity is always pure because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he falls into the clutches of material energy, he becomes a victim of the three modes of material nature. Indeed, whatever he does under the influence of material nature. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 5:14, na kartavyam na karmani lokasya sarjatis prabho na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu parvartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Actually, the living entities or soul does not do anything. Everything is done under the influence of modes of material nature. When a man is diseased, the symptoms of the disease become a source of all kinds of pain. Those who are advanced in transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness are never envious, neither of the soul nor of the activities of the soul under the influence of material nature. Advanced transcendentalists are called Suddhya. Suddhi means intelligence. Suddhi means highly advanced. And Suddhi means devotee. The three different meanings of one word. Means intelligence, highly advanced, and devotee. So put the three together is intelligent, highly advanced devotee. One who is both devoted and highly advanced in intelligence does not take action against the soul or the body. If there is any discrepancy, he forgives. It is said that forgiveness is a quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Lokanath Swaminiti Namne. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desare. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunitam Yena Tasmai Sri Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Tapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopi Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Jaitam Sruto Pango Mama Mater Gati Mata Sarvasparam Bhoja Radha Madan Tapta Kanchani Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vineshwari Vrishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha Kalpatru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavcha Patitanam Pavan Bhayo Vaishnavyo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Narayana Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudivya. So here the here we are in a situation where Pritha Maharaj, who is a Saktavesh avatar or incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he was performing, he wanted to perform. He came in as an ideal king, remember, in the Treta Yuga, Lord, he came as Lord Ramchandra. We call him Maryada Purushottam. Before that, even Prithvi Maharaj also came in to establish good governance. And he was performing Ashwamedh Yajna. He had done 99 yajnas when he went on to the 100th one. Time and again, Indra tried to disrupt, because Lord Indra had already performed 100 Ashwamedh yajnas, and he didn't, out of jealousy, envious, he didn't want anybody else to achieve that title, performed 100 Ashwamedh yajnas. So he repeatedly came in different disguises. I think Ravan picked up this idea from Indra. Remember here, is to steal the horses. He disguised himself as a sannyasi, and that's what Ravana did when he wanted to abduct Sita Devi. So, looks like he got the idea from Indra. But going further, that time and again, Atri Muni identified him, though Prithvi Maharaj's son, Vijitaswa, he went to punish the thief, but when he saw that it was a sannyasi, he pardoned him and brought the horse back. But Atri Muni reminded him that he's not no sannyasi, he's a Vamposta, he's stealing the horses. And time and again, he did that, dressed as a sannyasi, still chose. But Vijitaswa chose not to kill him. And then when the things got out of control, sort of out of hand, he was doing again and again, Lord Vishnu with Brahma came in to advise Prithvi Maharaj, and they said, let there be only 99 sacrifices for more performance. Well, if we look at it here, Indra is getting away from such nonsense. If you look at his past deeds throughout the history, has been, he's always envious of anybody who's doing something better than him. Even to the extent that if devotees or anybody who is doing some tapasya, austerities to please some Lord Vishnu or Lord Brahma, he tries to interfere. Remember, he interfered with when Lord Shiva was in trance, then he sent the Cupid, Kamdev, with his army to disturb him, wake him up. And as a result, he never goes. He sends other people, his servants, to do the difficult task. So remember, Lord Shiva opened his third eye and burnt Cupid. And then he also tried, when Narad was doing his austerities, he tried to break it, but that's when now he wasn't able to succeed, but that's when Narad got puffed up. That's another story. And even to the extent that the 5-year-old Dhruv, when he was trying to please Lord Vishnu, he tried, and Indra there again tried to break his tapasya. And here, Prabhupada in his comments, purport writes that when a madman commits murder, he is excused even by High Court. Just like to add one thing here, that even though he's excused in the High Court, but he is put out of circulation, out of the community. I know here in Israel, I'm not sure what's the practice in India or other places, but Western countries definitely, if a mentally ill person or somebody commits murder or some serious crime, and he tries to save himself, or his lawyers try to save himself on the excuse of him being mentally sick, they put him in mental institutions where they get treatment for their mental disease. They are definitely put out of the community, in the society. They're not in the society. There's some sort of punishment. But the thing is, what the realization is there, that this practice that Indra did, it has become a common thing in normal lifetime. These attractive, sinful activities he has introduced is carried out by the people in general, everywhere, even in whether it's politics, in social affairs, in devotional, in spiritual services. This sort of personalities you will find all over the place. And as Bhagavad Gita says, Yadad Archati Sreshta Tadatad Yavataro Jana Sayata Pranam Kurute Lokas Tada Anuvartate. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common man follows in his footsteps. And whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues it. For his own sense gratification, King and Indra thought to defeat Maharaj Prithvi in the performance of 100 sacrifices. And as a result, he's been stealing the horses and in the false guise of sannyasis. But if you look at what is the point, Mahavir, which is the point the Lord Vishnu and Brahma both are telling Prithvi Maharaj, that they are thought was in one of the translations and purposes, Prabhupada earlier says that Lord Brahma thought that instead of allowing Indra to continue further irreligious systems, it would be better to stop the sacrifice. Instead, I find it a bit odd, difficult. Instead of correcting him, stopping him, they took the easy option. But I think the reasoning here was two things. First, He's a mad guy. They must have resolved that there's no point in beating him up. He's not going to improve, not going to learn any lessons. He will continue doing it. So they're advising Maharaj Priti to stop the exodus in interest of his original purpose. They're reminding him, what was your original purpose? You didn't come here to get some medals, some titles for performing 100 exodus. You came here to establish good government and set things in the right order. That was his purpose. So they're reminding him, you stick to your purpose, don't get deviated, sidetracked by other things. So that's the main reason why I am taking that. That's the main reason they're asking Prithvi Maharaj to stick to your purpose, the goal, why you had come here. For if you keep doing the yajnas, these fellows will keep being bringing in new techniques and disturbing, and will establish a sort of practice that other peoples will follow him. So they asked Prithvi Maharaj to be satisfied by the performance of 99 horse sacrifices, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appeared on the scene, and they reminded Prithvi Maharaj that this is not your goal. Indra has been disturbing and will continue disturbing. So from here, it looks like the Lord tolerated all the nonsense and is putting up a practice that in future people should tolerate such things. I want to get some discussion, so that's why I'm throwing up this contradictory remark here. Anybody wants to suggest something or comment on it? Come on, I'm sure all 15 of you don't agree with me.
Sorry, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you please repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, what I'm saying from this incident, it's when Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma came in, and instead of punishing Indra for his repeatedly disturbing the performance of Prithvi Maharaj's yajna, they actually asking Prithvi Maharaj to stop performing the yajna. And they, because this has set up a precedence. You see that Indra continues to do this, disturbs everybody all the time. Not just Indra, as Prabhupada is mentioned in one of the purpose that generally people are practicing that. They always envious of other people when somebody is trying to advance in whether it's politically or it's materially or spiritually. They are elements, people who try to stop or bring in disturbance. So I find it that they're letting him go without punishing him. How others are. He's getting away.
So my understanding, Prabhu, is he is not getting away. The two activities, so Prithvi Maharaj and Indra, they're acting on different platforms. Prithvi Maharaj is acting on the spiritual platform in doing the sacrifice and in stopping the sacrifice also. And Indra is working on the material platform. So if he's working on the material platform, he can't get away with nothing, in the sense, if he's done some karma, he is going to get the reaction for it one way or the other. The system is already set up by the Lord for karmic reaction. So he will get that punishment. But in this
but
case,
Bhagavatam doesn't mention any sort of punishment.
it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't mention, but it is understood that if you do some action, you are bound to get some reaction for it sometime. Whereas for Prithu Maharaj, he's so close to the finish line spiritually. He's nearly reached the goal of going back to Godhead. So they're looking at the interest of both parties. If Prithu Maharaj continues the sacrifice, then Indra is going to get more karma, more karmic bad reactions. And Prithu Maharaj is so close to the finish line. Why is he getting involved and getting caught up in material, revenge?
Yeah, I can understand the part with the advice they gave to Prithu Maharaj. So don't get distracted with your goal. You have come here to set up a good government and set things right. Why you want to get deviated? But what I'm saying that here, Indra is getting scot-free for all his disturbances. There's no mention anywhere in Bhagavatam or any literature that he suffered for his actions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I like just comment. Because Indra has committed this gross injustice and offense to Prithu Maharaj, by bringing him in front of Prithu Maharaj, Lord Vishnu and Brahma, actually make him ashamed in front of the victim. I mean, there's no greater...
He was brought in to be pardoned. Remember, he's asking pardon. This rascal is got a habit of doing this.
Yeah, so
he's
he's being asked to pardon. Prithu Maharaj is pardoning him because of magnanimity. But Indra is being ashamed in front of all these great personalities. I think there cannot be a greater reaction than that. He's such a huge personality, and he's such a good standing, and he's brought in front of the victim and asked to just to be ashamed. So I think that's a reaction. So there's a lesson for Indra. So I shouldn't do it. But this fellow
gets away all the time, like in the...
no, in this case, Dwapar, he's not getting away in this case.
Just let me finish. In Dwapar, he did similar sort of thing when Lord Krishna stopped his worshipping. He tried to drown Brajvasis, the whole of Vrindavan. And again, he didn't get any punishment after he realized that who Lord Krishna was and God is scot-free.
I think the previous class, somebody mentioned that might be a different Indra, because Indra is a position, so he might not have learned the lesson. In spite of that, in this case, Indra is being brought up in front of Prithu Maharaj, face to face, before he was trying to escape. So in front of all these personalities, he's being shamed. And I think that is a lesson that one should learn. So to the great personalities, if you shame them, is worse than death. So I think this is the lesson that Indra is having a punishment.
But from Bhagavatam, it doesn't seem that he learned his lesson. He never stopped. Remember later when Sagar was doing Ashram, he stole the horse there as well. Remember the story when Ganga came in, starting. It doesn't seem that he learned his lesson, and then anybody who went on tapasya tried to disturb them. I'm trying to get some discussion.
Could be a different Indra from different.
Different is the post, of course.
So we are not maybe speaking of the same personality. So they haven't learned different posts. We are having the same.
We are assuming there's no. What I'm saying that we are assuming that this might have been might have happened like this, but I'm trying to get some evidence from literature if anybody has got anything.
Probably I was just thinking the Lord is very tolerant. Lord is very tolerant. So he knows that different people are at different levels of development. So he doesn't disturb them too much. Like if even in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, if somebody is like this, don't disturb them so much. Just don't tell them all these things. So if he feels that Indra is in a certain stage of development, he doesn't disturb him too much. He says, okay, slowly he'll learn and come up like that.
Yeah, so looks like Lord tolerates all the nonsense.
So he just allows people to learn on their own, I think. Whatever the time it takes. For example, to the general living entities also, he gives them so many lifetimes to learn. He doesn't rush them. He gives them so many lifetimes to gradually learn and progress.
While here in this case, or in Dwapar, when Lord Krishna tolerated all this nonsense, he doesn't looks like this anything that's done to him, like even in when he came as Lord Ramchandra, he tolerated lots of nonsenses. But the thing is that any offenses carried towards the Lord himself, he normally tolerates it. Except in one Shishupal's case, but even then he tolerated his 199 swearings, offenses. But they are two, he was tolerated 99 times. So any offense committed, what I'm trying to highlight here is that any offense committed towards or against the Lord himself, he doesn't bother, doesn't mind. But any offenses done against his devotees, he doesn't tolerate. Remember Ambrish Maharaj? When Durvasa wanted to kill him, he ran all over the universe. There was no escape anywhere. When Indra's son Jayant, we just celebrated Ram Navami. When Jayant came in as disguised as a crow, hit Sita Devi, and Lord Ram took up a string of grass and converted it Brahmastra and let it behind him. He went again, just like Durvasa, he went all over the universe, didn't get any help from anywhere, finally came back to Lord Ramchandra, and Lord Ramchandra indicated, you offended Sita, you go and ask forgiveness from Sita. And Duryodhan, he was an excuse. Remember, it's a famous one when they tried to insult Draupadi, trying to derobe her. At that moment, if you are in Mahabharata, Lord had decided all the people in that assembly, he had already killed them, decided they don't deserve to live any longer. And remember Mahabharata Yudh, when Bhagavad Gita says, I've already killed them. You just be names, just take the physically show that it's that you are doing it, but I've already killed them. Another place is Vali. Again, from Ramayana, Sugriva's brother. Vali was an excuse. Ravan was an excuse. Though he offended indirectly, but he committed a sin against Sita Devi. And coming back to our age, this is my interpretation when that Nair guy who tried to cheat Srila Prabhupada in the Jew temple land deal, he wasn't spared. And so what I was trying to get is that the Lord tolerates any offenses committed against him, but it doesn't. I don't remember, can't think of any incident where any offense committed against his devotees that he had tolerated it. But there are lots of incidents where anything committed like this time. Remember, Prithu Maharaj is incarnation of Lord Vishnu, but he was asked to tolerate, excuse the guy. Stick to your goal. Similarly, in our everyday lives, that the teaching here is that don't get focused, don't out of focus of your goal, whatever you want to do. Of course, I'm talking about good deeds, not against anything, breaking the law or anything else. I'm talking about within the law, the government law, the country's law, as well as the spiritual, the Lord's law. Particularly in devotional service, if this is your goal, you want to save the deities, do some service, there will be difficulties, objections, people throwing spana in your work, but you should not get deviated. Don't go running after the person who's disturbing you. You stick to your goal. Continue your service. So that's the moral I picked up from this verse and from the advice that Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma passed on to Maharaj Prithu. Anybody else want to comment or add to it? Thank you. You're welcome. Any comments? I'm sure. You'll have some comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes, nicely mentioning, how to be tolerate titikshava. That's Bhagavad Gita 2:14. As they say in the similar line, it reminds us we need to be titakshava. It is very, very important to be tolerated because it's a great quality of everyone's in the devotional service to be tolerant. As you mentioned in our daily services, we find so many things happening around, but be focused on your activities and keep on doing. Never deviate your focus and keep doing your activities. The result will be on. So if you get deviated, the things may go wrong. So never be out of focus, just be focused on your activities. That's a good lesson for all of us, at least for me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Anybody else? I hope people are participating. They haven't turned on their computer and disappeared. Hello, anybody listening to me?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, further up in the this same chapter, it says that standing nearby, King Indra became ashamed of his activities and fell down before the King Prithu to touch his Lord's feet. But Prithu immediately embraced him in great ecstasy, having given up all anger, occasioned by Indra's stealing the sacrificial horse. So you can see Indra is feeling extremely ashamed. And because of the magnanimity of King Prithu, he just forgave him and embraced him. So it's like he's being ashamed, so that's his punishment in front of all the great personalities. And Prithu is being glorified because his magnanimity in forgiving such a sinful person. So yeah, lesson to learn that nothing goes unpunished, although it might not be very obvious. At a higher level, just being ashamed is a greater insult than sort of giving us some physical pain or physical punishment. And just by Prithu Maharaj embracing him and forgiving him is a great, just embellishing his great personality. He's also being glorified. So I think this is the crux that we should not offend great personalities. And because Indra was quite advanced and had a very high physical material status, just being ashamed in front of everybody, that was, I think, punishment enough. So that's my understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, but one other thing that Prabhupada had mentioned, that this is, people have picked up, seems that people have picked up this idea from Indra, that you see in all works of life, they are people who envious. They not just envious mentally, but they do things to stop others from making progress, whether it's politics or spirituality, everywhere. That's one thing I wanted to point out. The other thing was that though the Lord tolerates any nonsense against him, but he doesn't tolerate any offenses committed towards his devotees. So that's the main thing that I wanted to highlight, that, as you mentioned, that looks like he got away, but there are incidents, the ones that are quoted, that any sinful, any offenses committed against his devotee, he never tolerates. He doesn't. Like in Ambari's case, he didn't. His Sudarshan took off to punish him. Was a Durvasa. Lord wasn't involved directly. Oh yeah, yes. So anybody else? The moral of this story is that we got to be careful not to offend devotees, devotees of the Lord. But that does not mean you tolerate all the nonsense. Because a lot of times I've heard people turn their heads up if somebody is committing some offense, illegal things. They say, oh, Vaishnava Prad. That's Vaishnava Prad is if you go and bless me, someone. But if you should go and tell the person or tell the authorities that somebody is doing something wrong. Remember that if you don't object to illegal things or wrongdoings, you are party to it. But there are ways of it. Don't go and tell the whole world about it, but you tell the individual and the authorities who can take action to correct the person. I'm talking about in devotional service. Of course, in material, police is there. You see there are a lot of people who find, as long as they're not stealing your stuff, people turn their head away. If somebody is beaten, people look the other side and don't say anything. That's not proper. People wait till they are directly affected. That's not the right thing to do. As citizens, we need to don't take action on your own, but involve the right, correct authorities about it, inform the authorities. Okay, then. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present something to people. Hare Krishna.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि
वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
जय। His Grace Rasparayan Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada
Srila
ki jai,
Prabhupada
Maharaj
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Gaur
Hari
Premanande
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Hari. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.